Okay, we're live.
Welcome to tonight's Finance Committee, April 17th, 6:30. We have a roll call.
Ms. Cheney.
Here.
Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Mr. Knipp.
Here.
Mr. Marks.
Here.
Snyder.
Here.
Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I said the agenda and adopt is what we were,
Mhm.
but we can skip that for now.
The agenda.
Minutes, who was the,
Me.
and then Marks,
Mhm.
okay. And we need to set the agenda and adopt.
Yes. Did everybody have a chance to review the agenda? There was one thing I wanted to add. Last time we had a conversation about the STAR fund.
Mhm.
And I wanted to hear an update on that regarding other investments. So do we have, I would like to put forth a motion to adopt the agenda with adding in the STAR fund as a new business.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Mr. Pringle, you're up for.
Sorry.
Are those your ears?
Using hearing aids.
Oh.
It shouldn't do that, but it does.
That does not sound pleasant.
Okay. Okay, all right, so here we go. Finance packet for the month of March. Everyone should have had a chance to review that. That was all in your packet this evening. So I will give you the summary very quickly. My hope is this will load. Oh, it was open already. There we go. Okay. All right. And okay, very good. So for the month of March, fiscal year 23, the village had a combined bank balance of $3.9 million. Just north of that amount, just north of 2.2 million can be found in the village's primary checking account, while the balance resides in several village dedicated funds. Now, for those of you who are keeping score, which I hope all of you are, the amount 2.2 million should look very, very low in comparison to previous months. Now, the combined bank balance obviously should be looking very high for those who are keeping score. I will give you more details on those as we continue. For the month of March, again, the village generated $58,063.95 in general fund income tax receipts. This number is 7% higher than the previous year. For the year, the village has collected just under $220,000. Again, general fund income tax receipts, that's about 6% higher than March, than where we were in March fiscal year 22. So again, looking very good for income tax receipts so far this year. Hopefully, we will surpass that 905,000 estimation, which is what we put in for the year. The village has received our first biannual disbursement of real estate taxes from the auditor, the Hamilton County Auditor. That amount was $943,418.50. Again, significant increase over 2022, but that's because the village received the first receipts of the fire levy. We had not received those previously. Notwithstanding the fire levies, $271,660.24. The village is still ahead over 2022 in real estate tax collection by nearly $20,000. Village received $618,426.90 in general fund receipts. This number is $98,236.92, less than March of fiscal year 2022. Again, because in 2022, we received tax money from LMFR, which went into the general fund. The village received $15,150.32 in additional funds. I'm sorry, this is the second point. So the village is receiving technically less money this year in general fund receipts because we don't get that tax money or that settlement money from LMFR, but all of that is now going into the fire levy. So again, over for the year, but general fund is under because we're not receiving that fire levy. We're receiving fire levy specific money instead of fire severance. We'll call it severance pay, sort of. I don't know if that's the right word. Anyway, so the another tracker which I added, I think it's an important thing to keep it in mind, is that the village has received an additional for March $15,150.32 from the DEA program, totaling to $84,841.51. Again, ending the first quarter, the village continues to be on track to receive well over $200,000 for the year. That's a very significant positive number, considering the history behind that program, which I think I've discussed with all of you. Okay. Top 5 pays for the month were payroll, Deer Park, Silverton, Joint Fire District, Rumpke Container, Ohio Police and Fire Pension Fund, and Rack and Ballauer Excavating Company. The total village general fund appropriation spend for the month was in the amount of $289,210.83. This figure is $14,172.60 more than March of fiscal year 22. The village had 23 outstanding payments that totaled $18,024.41, and the village administration will continue to monitor appropriation spend and make any adjustments deemed necessary. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Britenoff, for that detailed report. Next, we'd like to discuss, I guess, Mr. Britenoff, or Ron, to discuss the police car purchase.
So the police car, basically the police car purchase revision is based on a request from the police department to purchase a significantly cheaper vehicle, which will still have the purpose of being an administrative car, which can both serve as a car and as a patrol cruiser, or at least can be used in patrol. I think Captain Reed can probably speak to it a little bit better than I can. But again, the point was that the vehicle was significantly cheaper and was available for immediate delivery as opposed to the previous vehicle, which I think was still a couple of weeks out. The equipment which is going to be installed in the car does not cost more. It ends up being actually the exact same equipment that was going to be used for the Explorer. And what this allows us to do is the administrative vehicle will be purchased, at least the vehicle replacement plan we're assuming at this point will be that it'll be purchased every 6 years and every middle third year. So there will be an opportunity to use DEA funds for the purchase of a village frontline patrol vehicle outright. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I believe I.
So to put some context to this for you, I think everybody's aware that we lost a cruiser 2 weeks ago. Was it, Captain Reed?
Yes.
In a pursuit and a crash. So the Ford F-150 truck was not totaled. It's being repaired, but we have an issue with one police cruiser currently, in addition to losing that truck. So this has put the necessary need to try and resolve this issue of a new vehicle sooner than later. Captain Reed is going to use this truck as his own administrative vehicle in addition to using it as a patrol car, which was what the purpose of the other Ford Explorer was going to be. So this truck is available now versus waiting for the Explorer. So it's saving us about, what is it, $5,000 in total overall cost.
Just under
So
5,000.
it's a win-win. We get a vehicle quicker. We save a lot of money at this point in time. And then once we have delivery of this vehicle and then we get the repaired vehicle back, we'll be in a position to auction the Avenger and the Durango number 218. So, and it sounds like that'll probably happen within the next 90 days, I would guess.
Yeah, I hope so. It's possible. I hope so.
So we're expecting to take delivery of the truck within the next couple of days, right?
Yes, immediately.
If this passes this evening, so.
So the state is this somewhere, so the last time we recommended a F-150 because that was a savings over a standard SUV, right? Yeah, SUVs are skyrocketing. They're almost 50,000. Yeah. And that's perfectly functional, the F-150, everything, right? They love it, yeah. I mean, it's just the weather, Cincinnati, Ohio, it's perfect. Perfect.
So this is a replacement vehicle for that we passed, or this is going to be additional?
It's a replacement, so you'll be rescinding the first ordinance as first order of business and then replacing it with the new ordinance this evening. And that's you're accepting the purchase order and then also the financing for the new vehicle.
That same zero interest loan.
No, there was never, it's an 8% interest loan.
Oh, yeah.
It was through Ford financing. Correct. It's through Ford financing where it's effectively an 8% loan on the papers, but because we make our first payment before any interest hits, we end up only paying 2/3 of that.
Okay, moving on to the travel per diem. Last time we had this discussion, and we wanted the administration and the solicitor to get back to us with proper understanding of the per diem and how it would work. In today's packet, we had the policy as, basically, Ron took the original policy that we had of reimbursement and added in a per diem option. And the division heads could go ahead and pick to use the per diem or to use the reimbursement. It was a very smart way of doing it. This way we avoid the whole entire building suddenly asking for per diem. The head of that division says that we give reimbursement, then we go with reimbursement. And leaves it very open yet closed to open the police department to pick that per diem, and it will work well for them, and the rest of the administration to still go with reimbursement. And it's quite standard based on all the other per diems that are exist and taken from, and you can see over here last time we had a conversation, what happens if you start late, if you end early, all of that is spelled out. Breakfast and lunch is about 25% of the per diem, and dinner is 50%. The per diem is something that changes per year, and it's calculated based on the average of what the federal government gives. Now, I think it's $59 per day. That includes everything, and there's also written here if the program you go into office food or sleep, that would take off some of your per diem that you get. This is a well-written document. I would recommend that we suggest council move it up to council. And I would like to put forth a motion to move it up. Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Do we have any discussion? All right, so all in favor of moving this up to council?
Aye.
Next, we discussed last time that we moved more money to the STAR fund. And the fiscal officer gave us an idea where we could go invest the money into Fifth Third had a loan. And I'd like to hear an update on that. We were bothered on how much is insured of all the money that we have in the STAR fund.
The other side. It's just 2 on each one. Gotcha.
Okay, so actually, let me have the bottom one there. There you go. Okay, so you'll all notice, so this, what's going around right now, this is a fact sheet that comes from Star, Ohio. There were 2 pieces of the request, so I'll just go back to what you had originally asked. I think it was last Finance Council, Mr. Fisher, was that the question was essentially in what is the security that we have behind any of the money that we have invested or sitting obviously in our bank accounts. So simply put, everything that is in Fifth Third is FDIC insured. So that means that we have up to, I believe it's $250,000, but that's across all of our accounts with them. So that doesn't include Star Fund. That includes what I said about $2.2 million. So technically 90% of our money is not insured, which is pretty common. I mean, across, is there a better idea? Is there a better way to do it? It could be spreading that across another bank account with a different bank. Could work, but I don't think that that's standard practice. I certainly wouldn't make that recommendation without doing more research there. But in terms of where we put our money in the short term for safer investments, so this fact sheet indicates as of March 31st, which is pretty amazing. That's about 2 weeks ago, that the current yield in the Star Fund is over 5%, or 5.02%. You'll notice, for those of you who did receive the statement, that our so far, what was that? I think 4.875. Yeah, sorry, the 30-day yield is 4.87%. For the Star Fund so far. And again, like I mentioned, so our total bank balance is just over 3.9 million. We have $1.5 million put into the Star Fund. And already this year, we've generated $10,000 in interest. And I only put this money in, that was on 3/24, so it's about 3 weeks. that, I mean, this only reflects 6 days with $1 million in it. So we put $10,000 in there that's just sitting there, and already probably this next month we'll see another 10. I mean, I think it's supposed to be 45 for the year, so we'll probably see another 5. Excuse me. But again, this is kind of a no-brainer for investments. Now the question is, what's the security of this investment? So it's a pooled assets of over $20 billion. The custodian for the fund is the Ohio Treasurer of State. So that's, Robert Sprague, the elected official. That's in terms of accountability, it's a government-backed fund. It does have a AAA-M, which is the highest rating for credit of any investment that you can achieve. So this itself, while not insured, is one of the safest investments that is available to municipalities. Any other investments that we look at, we may be looking at higher interest, looking at higher yields, but we're not looking at better security than this. So I hope that answers some of your questions. If there's any specific more questions than that, I can certainly try and take.
So it may be in the wording here, but typically on investment stocks like this, they'll provide a snapshot of what the 1, 3, 5, 10-year track record has been for the investments.
Yeah, so
Anything like that?
it doesn't look so great because basically it's based on the current interest rate. And if you look at previous interest rates going back 2-3 years, they were so low that a fund like this wasn't really worth putting a dime in. But once interest rates started to rise again, it's totally tied to the interest rate. I mean, you can look up whatever was the average interest over the last 10 years, and you can know where the Star Fund was. Is within a percentage or two.
So is it flexible that if interest rates start going down to what they were a year or so ago, you could go?
We can take all the money out in 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the pluses to this account is the liquidity is there. If we need for some reason, if something happens and we have to have the money, it's there. It's like
So
one to the other bank.
Right. That's if you look at the investment policy in the bottom left corner on the front page of that, the investment objectives of Star Ohio are preservation of capital, maintenance of liquidity, and provision of current income. So meaning that what Ron just said is literally the goal of the Star Fund.
Another point that came up last meeting was regarding if they're offered a investment option to get also 4%.
It's 3%. Yeah. So we didn't really flesh it out too much. My thoughts were to put in from the money that we have sitting currently in our bank account, put in a significant portion into it's on the same webpage. You know how easy it is to move money from one fund to another on the same account. It's one account to another on the same bank. So my thoughts were to move between 500,000 or so, maybe around 500,000 into the 3%, so that we can guarantee until I think it was September 2023. We get it's another little leg up. It's another little investment that it all goes back to us, and it just pays us for leaving money there that's sitting. The impetus behind that was because we had just received, I think this was the not the sort of money. It was the WEHE. We had thought WEHE was giving us.
We had a municipal road fund grant that came in for $92,000.
So that was right.
That we weren't expecting, and then we had the
Albrook.
approval of the OPWC non-interest loan because we thought originally we were going to have to lay all the cash out for WEHE in one lump, and we don't have to do that.
So what that does is
I'm sorry for Elbrook.
So because we got that 0% loan for Elbrook, which is just north of $700,000, and we have $92,000 grant money coming from the SORTA or the county. I don't remember. The $92,000 from the municipal road fund. That's also from the state then.
It's from the county.
It is from the county. Okay. So because we have another basically $800,000 of liquidity that we were not expecting, my thoughts was to put 500,000 of that into this savings account, and we could potentially put more But again, this was just a thought. I put a hold on that because we had asked questions about the Star Fund and about, you know, the security within Fifth Third. So we don't have to put 500,000 into Fifth Third. We could put 500,000 into another bank if that was something that we looked into. That we were like, hey, let's get a different FDIC insured bank. So, you know, we're diversifying a little bit. I think it's a lot of headache for not as much gain, but you know, maybe there's an argument that could be made for that. But my intention was to open that account at 500,000 and let it sit there till September, and then once September 31st comes by, September 30th, then we can move it right back into the general fund bank account, and it's just an extra. What is that? 3% of five. So it'd be 1.5% of $500,000. So $7,500 just for moving money from one bank account to the other.
So last time we were concerned if that's if we're insured, but we're not losing anything from the insurance, because as of now, we're only covering $50,000, and it's the same idea. If Fifth Third goes bust, then we're losing.
Doesn't matter where the money is in Fifth Third.
Unless we pull it to another bank or just our.
Well, the Fifth Third money too is also pooled collateral.
Correct. Is pool, and so is the Star Fund, by the way. But yeah, I mean the Fifth Third money is pool it's within a much larger municipal pool. In order to set up a municipal bank account with any bank, there's a whole process that has to be followed. And I don't even know if we can do it on our own. I think we had to put an RFP for Fifth Third, didn't we? Correct. So we probably have to do something similar if we were looking to. I mean that there's a lot more that has to go into something like that. And again, I don't know.
Insured more, or we're still insured the same?
We could spread the risk to another bank, but I mean, so you're insured up to 250,000 in that bank, right? It's just not. Yeah, I mean, if it was $1 million, then yeah, we'd split half here and half there, and we'll pay half our bills from one and the other. But it doesn't seem to me it's worth the headache.
So I would be in the opinion that we should move forward and see if we could get this pulled off without any additional costs. And we'll just bring in another $7,000. That's something that we should do. Is everybody for that?
So the motion.
The motion to authorize the administration to go ahead and move over $500,000 into the short-term savings fund.
Into
I'll
an
second that.
interest-bearing account.
What is it called?
Into an interest-bearing account.
Good. Second.
Second. Any discussion, further discussion? Are we all in favor? All right.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Ferdinand, for bringing this to our attention.
My pleasure.
Our next financial meeting will be May 22nd at 6 p.m. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Second. Favor.
Aye.
Aye.
You did also.
That's